Hey there everybody, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Rama, and in today's video, I'll be breaking into the top 10 fastest vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online. I should point out as a little disclaimer, unfortunately, I do not have access to the HSW vehicles. Almost all the HSW vehicles are the fastest of their classes, so just keep that in mind. But with that aside, let's get straight into the list, starting off in the number 10 spot being the Traitor. This is a rocket-boosted, submersible, honestly, awesome looking car. It's based off the Lamborghini Espada in real life. It's actually a four-seater, which is quite surprising, but it just makes it even have more benefits. The Traitor also has unlimited missiles, which is pretty dang sweet. And it's got a rocket boost, and it's able to go at a top speed of 135.25 miles per hour. Now, that's not technically true. If you're using the rocket boost, you can actually get up to about 140. However, it's not a constant 140, so on average, you're going to go about 135.25 miles per hour. Not a slow vehicle at all, especially for the fact that, as we talked about before, this thing has machine guns that acts like miniguns, it has unlimited missiles, it can survive up to 6 RPGs. I mean, it's just a really solid vehicle in basically every aspect. The only problem is it is a very expensive vehicle coming in at a price tag of like $3.6 million. So, yeah, it does come at a pretty expensive price tag. But honestly, the Traitor, out of all the vehicles in this list, maybe apart from like one other, is definitely the #1 purchase I would suggest, just because it checks off all the other boxes in the process. Next up, we have just a normal sports car. Well, normal, but it has an insane top speed, being the Ocelot's Pariah. This vehicle goes at a top speed of 136 miles per hour. It's a pretty fast acceleration. Unfortunately, the speedo in-game is a bit incorrect, but we're already going upwards of our top speed, I would say. It's just insane how fast the Pariah is able to go. It really is quite stupid. So, yeah, the Pariah is a must-have vehicle, especially it's not even that expensive. It's like $1.3 million. Cars like this are normally really expensive. For example, the Furia, which is another sports car that goes really fast, is like $3.6 million without the trade price, which is what I unbeknowingly purchased during my live stream, as people told me to buy it, and yeah, I kind of regret buying the Furia. I'm gonna be real, especially when the Pariah has better handling and also looks better in my opinion, but still an incredibly fast vehicle. The Pariah is another car that I would just highly suggest to buy for how cheap it is. Now we have the BF400. This is just a motorcycle. It's a pretty cool motorcycle. You can see it's got insane suspension specifically for off-roading. The BF400 is able to go to a top speed of 137 miles per hour, and that is because of this right here, the insane wheeling capabilities. For motorcycles, the longer you can wheelie, the more you're going to accelerate, and I mean, you can see just how fast we're going. So yeah, you really don't want to mess with the BF400. It's pretty insane how well it actually wheelies. Now, obviously, the only problem with wheeling is that you can't turn. So you can see I'm trying to turn here, and I can't. So that's the only thing you got to keep in mind with the motorcycles, is that it's only a top speed that is achievable if you literally do this the entire time while driving down a very long stretch. But hey, it is very fast. The fact that an off-road motorcycle is even able to break 130, let alone 137 miles per hour. So, after the BF400, we move on to another rocket vehicle, this time being the SCRAMJET. SCRAMJET is honestly an awesome vehicle. I think it looks amazing. It has missiles, has machine guns, also a jump, which is pretty sweet because it lets you just jump in the air and then use your rocket boost. The SCRAMJET has a top speed of 137 miles per hour because, well, it goes upwards of 150 with the speed boost. The problem is that, well, you can see it takes a very long time to get that speed boost back. So you go to 150 and then you go all the way down to like 124. So that's the problem with the SCRAMJET, but overall, averaging 137, pretty dang good if you were to ask me. Pretty dang good. So I guess if you were saying the overall top speed of this vehicle, it's actually 150, but we're being realistic here. SCRAMJET, I actually wouldn't suggest to buy, though. It's a super fun vehicle. If you like fun, then I'd say go for it. But it's not a car that you're going to use all too much apart from, you know, launching into the air and, you know, being Elon Musk's SpaceX. It's a fun vehicle, but it's just really, really expensive. Next up, we have a vehicle I never expected to make the list, which is the Sanchez Scout, having a top speed of 139.75 miles per hour. We're almost at that 140 mile per hour barrier. The Sanchez Scout, literally, I just would never have expected this vehicle, but it has such a mean wheelie. And by the way, you can actually turn this vehicle while wheeling, which is actually insane. So not only can you go at a top speed of 140 basically while wheeling, but let's say I want to make this corner here, you actually can somewhat turn. It's not great, but let's say, oh, okay, I don't know how we didn't fall off our bike there, but I'm not gonna complain. It's a Sanchez. But I think the main reason why this bike is so good is just because you can literally just turn it while also doing wheelies, which means that if you're on a highway and you're trying to reach that top speed, you can not only reach it, but you can also strafe in between traffic. Easy dub from the Sanchez. Also, it's a pretty cheap vehicle to what I'm aware, so yeah, I actually think that this is another pretty decent must-buy. Okay, we were able to stop our bike before eating a wall there. Alright, so about halfway done with our list. Next up, we have a pretty expected vehicle, being the OPpressor. I don't know why my character is not wanting to go to it, but there you go. The OPpressor is super fast alone without the speed boost, and then when you add it in, it's able to reach a top speed of 140 miles per hour. You can see that, unfortunately, when doing a wheelie, your wheels just don't lift off the ground, so it's not as fast as some of the other bikes in the game because of that, but still, 140 miles per hour on average is really fast, and I mean, you can fly. So what is there not to like about the OPpressor? It has missiles, which is also pretty sweet. And yeah, OPpressor is just another vehicle that I would highly suggest to purchase, especially if you do like motorcycles. Just super duper fast. After the OPpressor, we're moving on to actually my favorite armored vehicle in the game, which is the ZR380. I put mine as black and I put some little white accents on it. I just think it looks amazing. You can let me know. Oh, I think it looks amazing as I kick it. But yeah, I just think that this vehicle looks absolutely stunning. I actually prefer the hood without the armor on because it looks nicer in my opinion. Now the reason the ZR380 is able to go so fast is because you have a boost. As you'll notice in the bottom corner of my mini-map, when I press my boost key, that little bar is going to go down, and that's when this vehicle is able to reach a ridiculous top speed of 140.5 miles per hour. It's just incredibly fast, making this actually the fastest sports car in the game. The only problem is that it has absolutely awful lap time, judging that it's literally so heavy. I mean, you can see just doing these corners here, it just spins out like crazy. So if you're going for top speed and you're driving down the highway, yeah, the ZR380 is great, especially because you can't shoot through the front. It's got 4 missile protection. It's a really, really strong vehicle. But as I said, you got to be very, very careful when using this vehicle, down to the very simple fact that it just sucks at driving. It really does. Its handling is absolutely terrible, especially for a sports vehicle. After the ZR380, we move on to a vehicle that all of you saw. This is the Vigilante. It has a top speed of a ridiculous 147 miles per hour. Yeah, we're really jumping up in the speed now. The Vigilante is so fast because its rocket boost comes back almost instantly. You use it, and then it's back already. You use it, and then it's back already. So you just easily average 147 miles per hour. It's great. The only problem with the Vigilante is that its handling is not the best. It's not bad, to be fair, as you can see here. It's just that when turning corners, because it's such a long, erect vehicle, you got to be very careful with it. So that's what I'll say about the Vigilante. I personally just don't love the way it looks. That's the only problem I have with it. I think the Vigilante is really cool, just not my favorite looking vehicle. It's definitely based off Batman after all, but yeah, I don't know. It's just too big for my personal preference. I know that somebody's going to quote that, but either way, very fun vehicle nonetheless, and it's the fastest of all the rocket boost vehicles in the game. So we move on to the last two vehicles, both being motorcycles. This one is probably the best motorcycle that I'd suggest to buy, being the Future Shock Death Bike. Now, you can buy any variant of the Death Bike. I just think the Future Shock looks the coolest. I love this customization I put on it. Looks fantastic. It has freaking laser miniguns, plus it has an amazing wheeling capability. So when you wheelie alone, the Death Bike is able to reach a very, very good top speed of around like 130. And then it also has a super speed boost, which allows it to reach a top speed of 150 miles per hour, which is absolutely insane. There were a couple people telling me that the Death Bike has the same glitch the Gargoyle does because it's based off of it, but after testing it, it just doesn't. You can see here it has a very steady wheelie, and then it slowly lowers to the ground. It's still incredibly fast, don't get me wrong, but It's not as fast as the #1 bike we're going to be going over. I just think the death bike looks so cool. The fact that it's got these miniguns, the fact that it's super fast, and it's got freaking saw blades on the front. It's just one of my favorite looking vehicles in the game. I gotta be real. I do not regret buying the death bike. It looks awesome, and it is super awesome. Plus, you can just run people over with it. Finally, we have a vehicle that I made a video on not too long ago. This one being the Western Reaver. The top speed on the Western Reaver is a whopping 13 faster than the 150 miles per hour on the death bike, going at 163. The reason it is so fast is because of the wheelie. It basically, you're going to see it kind of like shoves down a little bit, goes up and then down, then up and then down. And when it does that, it basically gives it a temporary speed boost. So you can see our speedometer right here, 155. We're on the dirt. I'm going to give it another run up so we can see if we can do it again. So here we go. Let me slow down and turn around very quickly. Actually, you know what? We can go all the way back here. This will be perfect. Okay, I'm going to see how straight I can keep this. Obviously, it's pretty hard to keep a bike straight the entire runway length, but that should be pretty good right there. All right. Oh, no, that's not good, but I think that should do the trick either way. So right now, as you can see, we're already going 127. Keep her steady. Keep her steady. 140. 150. Come on, keep going. 155. Oh, it's so hard, but it's just ridiculously fast, as you can see. Okay, I think my character's bugged because he's just not falling off the motorcycles. Well, either way, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the list of the fastest vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online. All of these vehicles are pretty insane. And honestly, if you want my opinion on the best ones to buy, first of all, Death Bike, easy dubs. The arena's honestly pretty cheap, so I would easily suggest to buy the Death Bike. Sure, the Reaver's faster, but the Death Bike is actually a bit better down to the fact that you can use the speed boost to get up to its top speed, where the Reaver, you have to constantly wheelie. I would say another vehicle that's fantastic is the ZR380, obviously the OPpressor. Honestly, how much does the Manchester Scout cost? I don't personally own it, but I feel like if it was cheap enough, it would be a really good deal. Where is it? Manchester Scout. You know what? 225 grand, easy dub. Easy dub. After that, I wouldn't suggest to buy any of these. The Pariah I'd suggest, and then the Traitor. So I actually suggest a lot of vehicles in this list, but yeah, that's because a lot of them are so darn good. Hopefully, as always, you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. Maybe you want to see a top 10 fastest motorcycles or specific classes in the game, let me know. But other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!